Happy to be online for the third episode. How are you doing today?
Good, sir. Feeling well. I'm feeling swell, buddy. A little bit of stress
Yeah,
never hurt nobody. Actually, too much stress. I don't know. Maybe too much stress is bad.
which
It's
is
okay.
why next place you live is going to be perfectly and optimally designed to get as much stress out of you as possible.
Boom. Exactly. Or the other way of looking at it is if the place I'm living at doesn't contribute to the stress and actually helps alleviate some of the stress, that's a good place to be because there's always going to be work stress, right? If you can sleep good and eat better and have amazing friends and do amazing things, it's a good place.
Welcome to Enginerding Out, where sustainable building design gets stripped to the studs, with Daniel and Kartik. High performance buildings decoded. This is the podcast for people who know details matter. Buildings are sexy.
The fact that 90% of health-related outcomes is actually related to the environments that you live in. It's good to know that maybe we can take a little bit more ownership of things and it's not as predetermined as you think. You actually have a lot more control over your health than people maybe previously believed.
Let's dive into it.
We can talk a little bit more about how we're looking to drive wellness at our Clapperton Village and also Sperling developments to ensure that healthy living is at the forefront of everybody.
The principles of the WELL standard is something that we've incorporated throughout our development. Global Wellness Institute publishes a report every year on different aspects of wellness. Real estate is the fastest growing category in the world. That entire industry is expected to be over $10 trillion in the next 5 years or so. It's actually going to grow about 50%. So it's at over $6 trillion right now. So it's expected to have a massive growth. Now, from a financial standpoint, we're not going to get financing on a project if we don't have our pro forma and our underwriting done the right way. Okay. From the economic standpoint, it's actually very important. I was actually talking to a lender today, this impact investing type of a lender, making a significant difference, particularly from a sustainability and affordability standpoint. At the end of the day, when you're talking about sustainability, when you're talking about wellness, these concepts have to make commercial sense, right? There's a lot of companies that greenwash, right? And they don't actually follow green practices. That's not the business we're in. We've very meticulously designed all aspects of our development to ensure that we're maximizing comfort and wellness for our tenants. So that's that aspect of things. We've incorporated a lot of the elements of this report into our 96 unit development. We're also incorporating that into our 1,000 unit development. Our company's called Sustainable Development Group. Sustainability and wellness are going to go hand in hand. Yes, you could be sustainable and not have wellness aspect, but I think it's very difficult to have a wellness aspect and not be sustainable, right? I think people are going to see through that. Oh, I'm trying to position myself as a wellness brand, but I have all of this carbon emissions. We are a sustainability brand with a strong wellness focused. That positions our brand in one of the best places in the fastest growing segment of real estate, which I'm very proud of.
If you think about it, having one without the other leads me to my point, the fact that LEED certification does exist as gold standard of sustainability. The major caveat being that LEED principles that focus heavily on sustainability might, at the end of the day, still fall short of WELL certification. And this is why, as a developer, we're able to balance the wellness, well-being, sustainability. That type of investment is going to pay dividends. With our partnerships, such as Dr. Corey, everything is being done from a wellness focused design.
By
So,
expert, yeah, medical experts and longevity experts. Yes. Yeah.
correct. The best principles, in my opinion, is this do no harm approach, leaving occupants feeling better than when they entered. One of the examples I saw about this that hopefully maybe we can implement in our Sperling development is trying to make the stairwells having windows. Any case when the building code does allow you to be more healthy or promote a better living space, people use the stairwell more when they're able to see outside and interact with the environment.
Actually, you know what? We can do that on 31 Grove. Now, that's a great idea. I want to do that on 31 Grove. That's awesome. Thank you.
It's very valuable for developers like us that want to be on the forefront, can draw from examples of what other people are doing. And there's really a lot of use cases of it that you can see building this from the ground up. First developments have been started with this principle. So it's not something that we're trying to just like shoehorn into our strategy. That's what we're building from the ground up, leading the way with that in terms of Ontario.
Absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit about the difference between well standard and LEED standard so we can kind of understand why someone might want to go towards well?
LEED has been transformational in the industry in terms of direction towards sustainability. LEED is only looking at the sustainability aspect of a construction project, whereas well is looking at the occupant comfort aspect of a development project. Folks that are actually utilizing the space, how do they interact and engage with different aspects of the space? So think about LEED being everything outside the building, generally speaking, and well is everything inside of the building, right?
More what the
Obviously,
tenants interact with, right?
correct. How the windows are designed, how the stairwells are designed. So basically, it's that interaction. We've taken a different approach in laying out our package in our buildings. Our wellness package has been thought through from a very basic infrastructure of the buildings. We drew inspiration from different models. There's an Indian model called ashram, which is then there's a Jewish model called kibbutz. Most regions and religions and kind of have this idea of communal living, the best way to create that community. We've drawn inspiration from that. Essentially, our fundamental concept in building out our buildings is we want neighbors to know each other. We want them to know each other's names, right? Like oftentimes, do you know your neighbors in your building? You don't, right? Like
Actually, some of them, but not as many as live in the building, right? If you think about how many neighbors you might have,
yeah,
typically, most people don't interact with their neighbors in the traditional sense of sitcoms that you see where they have the neighbor on the fence on one side and the neighbor on the other side. In your multifamily, you don't necessarily see them because people don't have a backyard per se. So you need to be more strategic about how you see them.
yeah, 100%. So, this idea of you getting to know your neighbors so that, you can watch your dog or your kids can play together and you guys can go out and hang out at the espresso bar and get coffee together. You guys can go for walks together, organize a resident walk or hang out in the backyard at the fireplace, right? We want to encourage conversation between neighbors. We want neighbors to have dinner with each other. Best outcome that could come out of it is organically people are organizing dinner parties and then there's this like massive table where everybody's having dinner together and they're cooking on the outdoor kitchen and having fun. And we want this community to flourish. And what is our job as builders is to provide that infrastructure, right? So we're building net zero, highly sustainable buildings with lots of amenities. We've got the Nordic spa, we've got the indoor gym, the outdoor yoga studio, indoor yoga studio, the espresso bar, the kids play area, the co-working space. We've provided so many third spaces for our residents to engage and interact. They want to live there forever and invite their friends to come and enjoy the spaces, right? We don't want them to leave because they have so much fun in our development, right? And yeah.
When we bring it back to what we discussed at the beginning in terms of asset value, having tenants that you know are reliably going to be staying there, it's going to reduce your amount of vacancies, keep people that actually want to live there, right? Rather than just chasing the lowest market rent, it's able to increase your asset value because you're able to command a higher tier of rent because you're offering the value associated with it. People maybe picture this high rise with a gym, and then maybe a party room. That's like what you typically picture. And that's not who we want to be. The amenities that you use on a day by day basis are a lot more impactful than, the party room that gets rented once a week and otherwise you don't see, hear, or know about it, right?
And it's just like these developments, they just make it so hard to book your party room. Like I gotta drop off a check and then it's a certified check. So I gotta go to a bank and get it certified and then come back to book a room, right? Whereas for us, everything is done with your phone. These buildings don't want their residents to use their third spaces. They're just absolutely terrible operators. And when you have a professional operator like us that actually really cares about the experience you have and how you enjoy the space, right? It's making all the difference. And we're kind of first to market with our product. It's a tough real estate market. In 3, 4, 5 years, when our tenants have lived there and experienced the life and enjoyed the amenities and the relationships they have with their neighbors, and ensure that people are happy and healthy and getting what they need, right? And you're heavily involved in all of the AI integration aspect of our developments, keeping all of the intelligence local. We don't run into any privacy issues or anything of that sort, right? So there's like so many aspects and feature sets. It's going to take a little bit of time for the market to kind of catch up and absorb, because people are so used to being treated terribly by their landlords, that like a landlord that actually cares for you and wants you to have a good living experience. And I think it's going to be transformational in the market.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And at least at my building, first year that I lived here, the amenities weren't open. So the fact that they open up the amenities, like I've been able to go down there, you make a lot more friends. And I would say for me, having that sort of outdoor living space has been the key difference between knowing people in your building that you actually want to like invite someone over, make food with, break bread per se, versus before that we didn't have any sort of outdoor living space. You're in the gym and it's gym etiquette, right? Like you don't really want to be there making small talk, right? So it ends up being that nobody ends up meeting their neighbors because the only place that you see them is in the common entrance and in the gym. And those are both places that don't really drive discussion. Whereas what I found is my building, at least, like they opened the sauna, right? Like the sauna spa is like a social area. The patio with the barbecue is a social area. It's so hard to book the party room or gym. Those are both great features to have, but it shouldn't be where the conversation starts and ends, right? Looking at some of the technology, air purification, can't speak into that enough, but the long-term impacts on lowering likelihood of respiratory issues is shown to be significantly linked as well for people with any allergies. It can lower the airborne particles that would trigger those sort of like asthma attacks. You'll be able to actually check the air quality from your phone, and it leaves you from second guessing yourself. I think it's getting to about time where we wrap up the conversation on this, but I think it's been really positive and I'm super excited how we're going to drive forward towards a truly well-being focused development.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you, man. Thank you for doing these on a weekly basis.